Hello everybody and welcome back to Learn It Up. Today in this video I will be showing you guys how to do some basic questions of permutation and combination. So I started this chapter with the lecture that I have already uploaded. So in this video we'll start with the questions. Okay, so first type of questions that you may encounter in PNC will be questions like this. Well, some of the examples I already talked about in the previous video, so all the examples in this video will be different from those. So first type of questions will be like, there are three stations A, B and C. So let's say that from A to B there are three ways. First is planes, second is trains and third is buses. So suppose A to B has 3 planes and 5 trains and 6 buses. Let's just imagine that. And from B to C there are only 2 ways, that are let's say 4 trains and 3 buses. So I've represented the planes with P, the trains with T and the buses with B. So the question will be, in how many ways can a traveler get from A to C via B? And I've already discussed the type of this question in the previous video, but this is different because it has a certain amount of ways, certain amounts of like planes and trains, so this will be different. So if let's say he can use any type of vehicle, so let's make this the A part. So if he can use any type of vehicle, how many ways in which he can go from A to C via B? So for that we will have to add all these ways that are here for A to B. So these are 3 plus 5 plus 6, and multiply this by the ways from B to C. So this will be 4 plus 3. So what will be the answer? This is 14 and this is 7. So this will be 98. So there will be 98 ways in which he can go from A to C via B using any kind of vehicle that he wants. But the second type of questions that PNC has is how many ways in which he can go from A to C via B using only one, using only two types of vehicle, or let's say using two different type of vehicle. That means that he cannot use one type of vehicle twice. So let's say if he goes by train from A to B, then he can't use the train from B to C. So if he uses, let's say, we'll have to make cases to solve this. So let's say for A to B he uses planes. So planes, that will be 3 ways, and as you can see there are no planes for B to C, so he can use any of these two things. So we'll just add it up, so and then multiply these, so we get 21. And now let's say he takes the trains. So he took the trains from A to B. So there are 5 trains here, and now he can't use the train from B to C. So there will only be choice of 3 buses. So this will be 5 into 3, that's 15. And similarly in the case of buses, if we take a bus from A to B, he has 6 ways of taking a bus, but from B to C he can take bus, so he'll have to take the train only. So that will be 6 into 4, that's 24. Now if we want the total number of ways, we just add all of these answers. So what will this be? That's 36, and that will be 60. So there are 60 ways in which he can go from one station to another using two different types of transport. Okay, so this was the first type of questions that we encounter in PNC. Now let's start with another type of questions. So in this type of questions, you are given like there are 3 coins and dice. 2 dice. Okay, so the question will be, if 3 coins are flipped and two dice are thrown simultaneously, what are the total number of possible outcomes? So to do this type of questions, we use what is called the box method. What is called the box method. Box method. Okay, so in the box method, we make boxes representing the outcomes. Let's say there are 3 coins, so there will obviously be 3 outcomes. So we divide this into 3 parts, and there are 2 dice, so there will be 2 outcomes. Okay, so now we have to find the total number of possible outcomes. And how will we do that? Well, the outcomes in a coin will be either heads or tails. So there are basically 2 outcomes for each coin. So let this box represent the first coin, this will be the second, and this will be third, and similarly this will be the first die and this will be the second die. So for the first coin there will be 2 outcomes and we write that in a box, and for the second coin similarly we'll have 2 outcomes, and for the third we'll have 2. Now for the dice, we'll have 6 outcomes for the first and 6 outcomes for the second. So the total outcomes will be 2 into 2 into 2. That's 2 cubed into 6 into 6. So this will be 8 into 36. And you can find the answer of whatever this is. So this was the second type of questions using the box method, and this method is very useful in PNC and it can be used in many ways across all the different types of questions. Okay, so moving on to the third type of questions. So let's say in this question, a person enters a hall. Well, let's say there are 3 people entering a hall and there are 10 chairs. 10 chairs. So the question asks, in how many different ways can the 3 people occupy these 10 chairs? So what will we do for that? Well, let's just say this is the first person, this is the second person, and this is the third person. Okay, so there are 10 chairs in the room. 10 chairs. So if there are 10 chairs, let's say the first man enters first. So if there are 10 chairs, how many chairs can he sit on? So there will be 10 options for him to sit on. And for the second, because the first person has already been seated, so there will be 1 seat less for him to occupy. So there will be 9 chairs for him to sit on, for the second person to sit on. And similarly for the third, there will be 8 chairs to sit on, because two of them have already been occupied. So the total number of possible ways in which they can sit is just multiplying these all numbers, that is 720. So these 3 people can occupy 10 chairs using 720 ways. Okay, so the last type of questions that I'll be discussing in this video, because there are like hundreds of different types of questions that can be made from PNC, but the last type of question that I'll be discussing will be, let's say, the question says find total number of total 5-digit numbers, let's say, and I'll not write everything down. So total 5-digit numbers using 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so this question is asking us to find the total number of 5-digit numbers that can be made using these digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how will we solve that? Well, we can use the box method for this. Box method. Well, ignore my writing, it's bad, I know. But in box method, it is a 5-digit number. So we draw 5 boxes, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So there are 5 boxes. Let me number these, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we have 5 boxes and we have 5 numbers. And as we did in the previous question, in the first place, in this first place here, how many options do we have to put these numbers? So there are five numbers that can be placed here, so we can write 5 in here. Similarly, for second we have 5, and for the third we have 5, for the fourth we have 5, because these numbers can be used as many times as you want, because a number can let's say a 5-digit number can have repeated numbers or repeated digits. So the total number of 5-digit numbers using these 5 numbers will be 5 raised to the power 5. So this was easy, but what if we say that no digits repeat? So what will we do if the question asks for not repeating any digits? Well, it's still simple. We still draw the 5 boxes, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the first box, let me just number these. The first box will still have 5 options. Let me just change the color. So the first box will still have 5 options because we have 5 digits, but the second will have 4 because we originally had 5 digits, but we cannot repeat these numbers. So if we, let's say, put 1 in the first box, then we'll have to select from the remaining 4 numbers because we cannot repeat them. So the second box will have 4 choices. Similarly, the third will have 3 choices, fourth will have 2, and the fifth will have to be a 1. So the total number will be just multiplying these 5 into 4 into 3 into 1. So what will this be? This will be 120. Let me just make sure I got that correct. 5 into 4, 20, into 3, 16, into 2, 120. Okay, so this will be 120. So these were the different types of questions that can be asked in the permutation and combination chapter. Well, there are many hundreds of different types of questions that can come, but in this video we'll be discussing these 3. So hope you guys found this video useful, and be sure to like if you like this video and dislike if you didn't. And that's all for this video. Please like and subscribe, and bye.